Roger Federer just gave Alex Eala a brand new car, and the internet can't stop talking about it. But this wasn't just a gift. It was a moment that revealed something deeper about mentorship, gratitude, and the hidden bonds inside tennis. Nobody saw it coming. One minute, Eala was celebrating a career milestone. The next, she was standing in disbelief as one of the greatest athletes of all time handed her the keys to something she never expected. The cameras captured every second, the tears, the shock, the embrace that felt like a passing of the torch. And within hours, millions were asking the same question: why her? Why now? And what does this really mean? Most people don't know this, but Alex Eala and Roger Federer's connection didn't start with a viral moment. It started years ago, in the quiet corners of a training facility in Switzerland, where a teenage girl from the Philippines was grinding through drills, far from home, chasing a dream that seemed impossible to everyone except her. Eala had enrolled at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Spain when she was just 14, but before that, she spent crucial developmental months training in Switzerland, where the Federer name wasn't just legendary, it was everywhere. The Swiss Tennis Federation, heavily influenced by Roger's success and philanthropy, had become a magnet for young talent worldwide. Alex was one of those talents: quiet, determined, hungry. Federer wasn't coaching her. He wasn't even around most of the time. But his presence was felt. His foundation had funded programs that allowed young athletes like Eala to access world-class facilities. His philosophy? Discipline, grace, relentless improvement was embedded into the culture she trained in. And one day, during a rare visit to the training center, Roger saw her play. He didn't say much. He watched her footwork, her shot selection, the way she fought for every point, even in practice. After the session, he walked over, introduced himself, as if she didn't already know who he was, and said something simple: "Keep going. You have something special." For Alex, those words became fuel. She carried them through every loss, every injury, every moment of doubt. And Roger? He quietly kept track. He followed her results. He saw her win the 2022 U.S. Open girls singles title. He watched her break into the WTA rankings. He knew her story: a Filipino athlete breaking barriers in a sport dominated by Europe and North America. And he respected it. But the world didn't know any of this. To most fans, Alex Eala was a rising star with potential. To Roger Federer, she was proof that the next generation was ready, that the work he'd put into building pathways for young players was paying off, that tennis, at its core, was still about passion, sacrifice, and the belief that anything was possible. So, when the opportunity came to do something meaningful, something that would honor her journey and inspire others, Roger didn't hesitate. He had always believed in gestures that mattered, not for publicity, not for headlines, but because in a sport that could be cold and transactional, moments of genuine connection were rare and powerful. This was one of those moments, and it was about to change everything. But what actually happened to trigger this gesture? What milestone pushed Federer to act? It was late April. Alex Eala had just pulled off the biggest win of her professional career. After months of grinding through challenger events and lower-tier WTA tournaments, she had broken through. She defeated a top 50 player in straight sets at a WTA 250 event, her first significant victory on the main tour. The match was electric. Eala's aggressive baseline play, her fearless net approaches, her refusal to be intimidated. It was everything she'd been working toward. But it wasn't just the win that mattered. It was the context. Eala had been dealing with a wrist injury that nearly derailed her season. She'd spent weeks in rehab, questioning whether she'd ever get back to her best form. Her ranking had slipped, sponsors were getting nervous. The pressure was suffocating. And yet, she came back, stronger, sharper, more focused than ever. In her post-match interview, she was asked about the journey, about what kept her going during the darkest moments, and her answer was raw, unfiltered, and deeply personal. She talked about her family back in the Philippines, who sacrificed everything so she could train abroad. She talked about the loneliness of being away from home for years. She talked about the coaches, the physios, the people who believed in her when results weren't coming. And then she mentioned something that caught everyone off guard. She said, There was this moment years ago when someone I looked up to told me I had something special. I didn't believe it then, but I kept that memory alive. And every time I wanted to quit, I thought about those words. She didn't name Roger Federer. She didn't have to. The tennis community is small, word travels fast, and within hours, people started connecting the dots. Journalists dug into old interviews, fans found pictures of a young Eala training in Switzerland, and suddenly the story took on a new dimension. Roger saw the interview. He saw the emotion in her eyes. He saw the weight she'd been carrying, and he made a decision. Not as a PR move, not as a brand ambassador for any company, but as someone who understood what it meant to fight for every inch of success in a sport that could be brutal and unforgiving. He reached out to her team, he asked where she'd be in the coming weeks, and he started planning something that would honor not just her victory, but her journey. Something that would send a message to every young player watching. Your effort matters, your story matters, and the people who've been where you are, they see you. The stage was set, the moment was near, and nobody, not even Alex, knew what was coming. And then it happened, the moment that would break the internet. It was supposed to be a routine sponsor event. Alex Eala had been invited to a tennis exhibition in Zurich, a low-key appearance to celebrate her recent success. The organizers told her it would be casual, some meet and greets, a few photos, maybe a short speech. She showed up in a simple outfit, no expectations, just grateful for the recognition. The venue was elegant but understated. A small crowd of fans, journalists, and tennis enthusiasts filled the space. Alex walked in, smiled, waved, and took her place near the front. The host began speaking, thanking everyone for coming, highlighting Alex's recent achievements, standard stuff, polite applause. And then the host said something that made her heart skip. "Alex, there's someone here today who wanted to celebrate your journey with you." The lights dimmed, a side door opened, and Roger Federer walked in. The room erupted. Fans screamed, cameras flashed. Alex's hand flew to her mouth. She couldn't believe it. Roger, in his signature calm, graceful manner, walked straight toward her, arms open. They embraced, and for a moment, everything else disappeared. The noise, the cameras, the pressure. It was just two people who understood what it meant to fight for something bigger than themselves. But then, Roger stepped back, smiled, and said, "Alex, I've been following your journey for a long time, and I wanted to do something to honor what you've accomplished, not just on the court, but the way you've represented your country, your family, and everyone who's ever doubted themselves." He gestured toward the entrance. Two assistants wheeled in a covered platform. The crowd went silent. Alex looked confused. Roger nodded. The cover was pulled back. It was a brand new Mercedes-Benz EQS, sleek, silver, with a custom license plate that read AE22, her initials and the year she won the US Open girls title. Alex froze. Her eyes filled with tears. She turned to Roger, speechless, and he just smiled. "You've earned this," he said, "not because of one match, but because of everything you've done to get here." She couldn't hold it in. The tears came. She hugged him again, this time longer, harder, and the crowd erupted in applause. Roger handed her the keys. She held them like they were made of glass, still in disbelief. The cameras captured every second. Her trembling hands, her tearful smile, the way Roger gently placed a hand on her shoulder as if to say, "You belong here." And then she spoke. Through the tears, through the overwhelming emotion, she managed to say, "I don't even know what to say. This is everything. Thank you. Thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself." Within minutes, the video was everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, news outlets, sports channels. The clip of Alex breaking down, of Roger's quiet smile, of the keys being handed over, it went viral instantly. Millions of views in the first hour, tens of millions by the end of the day. But the internet wasn't just watching, it was reacting, and not everyone saw it the same way. Because as beautiful as the moment was, it sparked a debate that nobody saw coming. The first wave of reactions was pure emotion. Fans flooded social media with messages of support, admiration, and inspiration. "This is what sports is about," one tweet read. "Roger Federer is a class act," said another. Thousands of people shared the video with captions like, "I'm not crying, you're crying," and "This is why we love tennis." Alex's compatriots in the Philippines were especially moved. The hashtag #ProudPinoy trended for hours. News outlets in Manila ran the story on loop. Parents posted about showing the video to their kids, using it as a lesson in perseverance and humility. For many, it was a moment of national pride, a young Filipina being honored by one of the greatest athletes of all time. But as the hours passed, the tone began to shift. Questions started popping up, comments that were less celebratory, more critical. Why her? Some asked. There are so many struggling players. Why does she get a luxury car? Others pointed out that Alex came from a relatively privileged background compared to other athletes from developing nations. Her father was a professional basketball player. She had access to elite training from a young age. This isn't a rags to riches story, one viral tweet claimed. It's privilege rewarding privilege. Then came the think pieces. Sports journalists debated whether Federer's gesture, while well-intentioned, sent the wrong message. Does this create unrealistic expectations for young athletes? One article asked. Are we celebrating hard work, or are we celebrating proximity to fame? Another piece questioned the optics. Federer could have donated that money to a tennis development program in Africa or Southeast Asia. Instead, he gave a car to someone who's already on the rise. The criticism wasn't universal, but it was loud, and it forced people to take sides. Some defended Roger, saying he had every right to honor someone he'd personally mentored and believed in. Others argued that in a sport already criticized for its lack of diversity and accessibility, gestures like this, however kind, reinforced existing inequalities. Alex stayed silent for the first 24 hours. Her team advised her to let the moment speak for itself. But the noise grew louder. Comments on her Instagram ranged from heartfelt congratulations to harsh accusations. You didn't earn this. You were just in the right place at the right time. And then the conspiracy theories started. Some fans claimed the whole thing was staged by Mercedes-Benz as a marketing stunt. Notice how perfectly framed the car reveal was? One TikTok breakdown suggested. This was planned months ago. Others speculated that Federer's sponsorship deals required him to do a certain number of public appearances, and this was simply a strategic PR move disguised as charity. Even other players weighed in. One former WTA pro, speaking anonymously, told a tennis podcast, "Look, I'm happy for Alex, but let's be real. There are girls grinding in challengers who can't afford plane tickets. Roger's gesture is nice, but it's also tone-deaf." The debate raged, and Alex, sitting in her hotel room reading the comments, felt the weight of it all. This was supposed to be the best moment of her life, and now it was being dissected, questioned, and turned into something ugly. She knew she had to say something, but what? How do you defend a gift you didn't ask for? How do you explain that this wasn't about the car, but about everything it represented? And then Roger Federer broke his silence, and what he said changed everything. 3 days after the viral moment, Roger Federer posted a statement, not through a PR team, not in a press release, but in a simple, handwritten note shared on his Instagram account. And it hit different. "I've been reading the comments," he wrote, "and I want to address them directly. The gift I gave Alex Eala wasn't about the car. It was never about the car. It was about honoring a journey that I've watched unfold for years, a journey that most people never see because it happens in empty gyms, in rehab sessions, in moments of doubt that no camera ever captures." He went on, "When I was young, there were people who believed in me before I had any results to show for it. Coaches who gave me extra time, mentors who saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And that belief changed my life. I've spent the last decade trying to create opportunities for young players because I know how much it matters, not just the financial support, but the message it sends. Someone sees you. Someone believes in you. Keep going." Then came the part that silenced the critics. Alex didn't ask for this. She didn't expect it. And to those who say she didn't need it, you're right. She would have succeeded without it. But that's not the point. The point is to celebrate effort, to honor resilience, to show young athletes that the work they put in, even when nobody's watching, matters. He addressed the privilege argument head-on. Yes, Alex has had opportunities, but she also left her home at 12 years old to train in a foreign country. She's fought through injuries, ranking struggles, and the immense pressure of representing an entire nation. Privilege doesn't erase sacrifice, and success doesn't diminish hard work. And then, the kicker. If you think this gesture was wrong, I respect that. But I'd ask you this. When was the last time you celebrated someone's success without conditions, without asking if they deserved it? We've built a culture where we tear down people for winning, and I refuse to be part of that. The response was immediate. The backlash turned into support. Athletes from across sports shared the post. Serena Williams commented, "This is everything." Naomi Osaka wrote, "Needed to hear this today." Even critics who had questioned the gesture admitted that Roger's words reframed the entire moment. Alex saw the post and cried again, but this time they were different tears, not from shock or overwhelm, but from gratitude and relief, because Roger had done something most people don't do. He stood by his decision, explained his reasoning, and refused to let the noise diminish the meaning. 2 days later, Alex posted her own response. She thanked Roger, not just for the car, but for believing in her journey. She addressed the criticism directly, acknowledging her privilege while also defending her right to be celebrated. I know I've had opportunities many don't have, but I also know what it's like to be doubted, to be told you're not good enough, to fight for every single point like your life depends on it. This gift wasn't about luxury, it was about validation, and I'll carry that with me forever. The conversation shifted. People stopped debating whether the gesture was right or wrong and started asking better questions. How do we support young athletes? How do we balance celebration with awareness of inequality? How do we create more moments like this, not fewer? And in the middle of it all, Alex Eala and Roger Federer became symbols of something bigger. Not just mentorship, not just success, but the idea that in a world obsessed with tearing people down, there's still power in lifting them up. But here's the thing. This moment didn't just impact Alex and Roger, it changed the conversation around tennis itself. A month later, the ripple effects were undeniable. Alex Eala's social media following had tripled. She landed 2 new endorsement deals, both with brands that specifically cited the viral moment as proof of her marketability and character. Her next tournament appearance drew record crowds for a qualifier match. People wanted to see the girl Roger Federer believed in. But more than that, her story became a case study. Tennis academies around the world started highlighting mentorship programs in their marketing. Federer's foundation saw a 40% increase in donations, with many donors specifically citing the Eala moment as their reason for contributing. Young athletes from developing nations began sharing their own stories, tagging both Roger and Alex, hoping to be seen. The car itself? Alex drove it to her next tournament, not as a flex, but as a reminder. She posted a photo before leaving, keys in hand, with a simple caption, "Every mile is a thank you." But the real legacy wasn't material, it was ideological, because in a sport often criticized for its elitism, for its lack of accessibility, for the way it gatekeeps success, this moment proved that change is possible, not through grand structural reforms, not through committees and policy papers, but through individual acts of recognition, through powerful people using their influence to say, "You matter, your story matters, keep fighting." Roger Federer didn't solve tennis's inequality problem with a car, but he did something just as important. He reminded people why they fell in love with the sport in the first place. Not for the trophies or the prize money, but for the stories, the underdog victories, the moments of grace and connection that transcend rankings and records. And Alex? She kept grinding. She won her next match, then another. Her ranking climbed. She started getting invited to bigger tournaments, and every time someone asked her about the car, about the viral moment, she said the same thing. It wasn't about what I received, it was about what it represented, and I'm going to spend the rest of my career making sure that moment meant something. Years from now, people will look back at this and debate its significance. Some will call it a heartwarming gesture, others will call it performative. But the truth is somewhere in between. It was a moment, imperfect, complicated, but undeniably powerful, because it forced people to ask questions that matter, about privilege and effort, about celebration and criticism, about what we value and why. And maybe, just maybe, it inspired someone watching, some kid in a small town, hitting balls against a wall, dreaming of something bigger, to keep going, to believe that their journey, no matter how invisible, matters, that someone, somewhere, is watching, and that one day they might get their moment too. Because that's what Roger Federer understood, that's what Alex Eala proved, and that's what this story, beneath all the noise and debate, was really about. So here's the question. Was this just a generous gift, or the beginning of a new era in how tennis honors its rising stars? The moment Roger Federer handed Alex Eala those keys wasn't just captured on camera. It was burned into the memory of everyone who's ever fought for something they believed in. It reminded us that sports, at its best, isn't just about winning. It's about recognition. It's about someone with power choosing to see someone with potential. And it's about the courage to celebrate success without apology. Love it or question it, this moment mattered, and it's still echoing through the tennis world today. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button, because these are the moments that define tennis, and we're just getting started.